Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Rugby New Jersey and Rugby Referee Society New York presentation on positive actions at the breakdown, fair contest, and space to play with Rosalind Anderson. I'm going to hand over to Rosalind immediately, and we're going to start the presentation.
Great. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Pat. It's a pleasure to be with everyone tonight. Welcome. And I'm learning how to take over the driving.
Yep, just to present when you're away.
There we go. Am I good?
Yep.
Fantastic. So when Rugby New Jersey asked me to think of a topic and see what we can help teams with, I was thinking of the breakdown is the most complicated area in rugby. And I was thinking how useful it would be for youth players to think about positive actions and then to understand a little bit about how referees might respond to their actions. So that's why I put together some ideas and some video clips that we'll take a look at, and I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end. So first, sorry, I'm trying to do something with the screen here. Okay, so here are some ideas of actions that defenders need to take at the breakdown. So the tackler and the tackler assist have to release. You stay on your feet when you're playing. We don't play the ball from the ground. You can't bridge over to prevent competition, and I'll say more about that in a second. And the tackler needs to roll away in a way that doesn't interfere with contest for the ball. You got to enter through the gate to play the ball, bind onto the opposition, drive them off. And then once a ruck has been formed, which now we know is one body over the ball, you have to have your hands out. Can't put your hands in to play the ball unless you're going in from the back to play it. Can't be the side. And then the defending line, which isn't really part of the breakdown, but this is something that's so important at a breakdown, is that the defending line retreats to the back foot. They need to provide space for the attacking team to move the ball. So I'll just review a couple things without saying too much because I don't want to say things you already know. Going back to the beginning, the tackler assist, is anybody with hands on the ball carrier as the player is going to the ground. The referee is looking for airspace around the tackled ball carrier before anyone goes for that ball. Then about staying on your feet, what referees are looking for is basically no weight on your hands, your body's over the ball. Meanwhile, that's a little easier. We can say that that's a law, but we don't always penalize players who are over the ball if there's no competition for them. So my advice for a defender, if you are going to try to defend a ruck and blow the opposition off the ball, you need to make sure that you're engaging the attacking players in the ruck. If you're not engaging, the referee might think that that's your strategy, and if you're looking for the other team not to bridge over the ball, the referee can't really help you out if you're not making sure that you contest the ball at the breakdown. Sometimes players get pushed off their feet. As long as you get back to your feet, we call it reloading, then the ref might also play on then too. And let's see, hands out. You just can't be having your hands in to play the ball. One thing that sometimes players do is they'll go in and bind on the opposition, and then they'll see the ball under their body, so they'll let go of the opposition player to try to pick up the ball, but we consider that hands in also. So rushing through these so I can, get to the good part, which is the video. So attackers, when you're the ball carrier, you want to try to place the ball back to your team, obviously. And if an opponent has legally brought you down and released you, goes for the ball, you have to release it. So that said, the tackler can't hold on to the ball carrier. The ball carrier has to have that little moment of freedom to take that action and then place it back. And I'll tell you as a referee, this is easier to describe than to officiate. There's a split second in which a referee is looking for a tackler to release the ball carrier so that the ball carrier can place the ball. Some teams do have this strategy that they don't defend at the rucks. So there's a lot that referees are looking for in that moment. Arriving players bind on. You can move the ball back with your feet, and all players have to bind on. You can't charge or shove or dive over people on the ground. So those are all the things we know. And now I want to show you some video. This is the best part. So these are some clips from the Women's Premier League of 2018. And there was an online project with the WPL, Women's Premier League, and also the D1A college teams. The referees used game analysis software to analyze their games each week. And then we all had weekly group meetings about these games online. There was a referee coach that worked with the referee, and then the whole group would discuss different aspects of officiating, different decisions that referees had made. Sometimes we found things that people needed to do better. In fact, quite a bit we found things that referees needed to do better. And just to give you some context, the referees you're going to see in these WPL clips are top referees. A few of them either are national panel referees or soon will be national panel referees. So we're going to see some clips of referees from the top of what we have in the United States here. So this first one, disciplined play. I chose this clip because I wanted to show you something that looks like pretty good play. So see, mute that first. And I'm not sure if you can message Pat, but I can't see the messages now. So if you want to let him know if you can not see this, the clips, or if I need to go slower or play it again, then let him know.
There's a chat window, and they can send me a message on the chat window.
Great. Oh, so please let him know. So I'm going to play each clip a couple of times, and I'll tell you what you're looking at. So in this one, I call this one disciplined play because this is the sort of thing we're looking for. It's not perfect, but there's nothing in this clip that's worth stopping the game for. And I'll play it out for you first. I've muted the sound just because it's distracting. So contest for the ball. Look at green. They are on the back foot. They're releasing. Ball comes out quickly. Maybe 12 is a little bit quick, but nothing important. This kind of game is so easy for a referee to really make sure that we're playing rugby. Right? Everyone knows where they're supposed to be. We're trying to move the ball out. Green has an honest defense. As now that, see how that player is binding on? That's completely legal. Oops. Nice contest there. They both got really low. Great. So seems pretty good. Just play it one more time, and then I'll stop it a little bit early. See, it's just basic structured play. So players, as you're thinking about what you're doing in a game, the best thing you can do is think about what action should I be taking? Oh, I'm on defense. I need to get on that back foot. I'm the tackler. I got to get out of here. See, that player got right up, got right out of the way. They're waiting for the ball to come out. Meanwhile, they're pretty aggressive at the back line there, at the defensive line. Nice contest. That player's binding on. Great. So that's really nice disciplined play. Now I'm going to show you a clip where the tackler releases, doesn't roll away. And we'll see how this referee handles this. And again, I have to mute it. I wish I had an auto mute, but I don't. So I'm not a big fan of this tackle. It's right on the edge. But see how that green player doesn't get out of there 15? You see the referee yelling at her. And there was another player there too who did not roll away. I'll play it again. The referees, or I'm sorry, speaking to the player on the ground, yelling to be heard so that that player knows she can't interfere. If this player at the breakdown had rolled away into the scrum half, see, no interference with the ball. The green player didn't have any impact on the game. Referee plays on. Here's another one. This is, Atlanta's the one in the 4 colors. And you'll see this player does not go through the gate. So as a player, you think, oh, look, there's the ball. But you have to make sure that you go through the gate. I'm going to play this one a couple of times. There's number 11. Oh, look at that. She did not go through the gate. Referee penalized her. I'm going to play it again. So you can see Atlanta's the Harlequins. They have the 4 colors there. And we can see, standing here on the touch line, we can see number 11, her number. There she is. She didn't go through the gate. She did not retreat to her side of the ball and come through the gate formed by the player. I'm not going to go too much into that because last year we had a webinar on that. There she is again. I'm going to play it one more time. And now look at where the referee is. Now, if he had been screened by other players, he might not have seen that infraction that we very clearly saw. So that's something to keep in mind. And then last one, this clip, you'll see these defenders never retreated. Some referees are a little more lenient with offside if you have retreated the whole way. And these players don't really retreat. And it's okay, and I'll explain why in a second. See, look at those red players. They did not retreat. But look at how the ball carrier is going up closer to the breakdown, and those players had retreated. So one more time. See, ball comes out quickly. So I had wanted to use this to speak about some tools that referees use that it's important that players understand. So advantage is essentially that you've done something wrong, and then if the other team doesn't get something good out of it, I, as the referee, am going to penalize you or give them a scrum depending on what you did wrong. So I've acknowledged it. I see that this happened. And if things don't go a certain way, I am planning to go back to the penalty or the scrum. It's a little different from materiality, which we're going to talk about in a second. When referees are trying to work with advantage, they think about 2 concepts. One is tactical advantage. Are you able to play the ball in some way that gives you an advantage? Or is there a territorial advantage? They see you're able to gain some ground. So advantage is a really useful tool, and sometimes it's easy to apply, but a lot of times it really isn't. So when we evaluate referees for promotion, I think a lot of people don't realize that we see advantage as a skill that's used well by higher level referees, higher level. So the referees that you have on a weekend may or may not be skilled using advantage. They might still be learning how to apply it properly. It is misused a lot and it is overused a lot, but this is part of the learning curve for a referee, and it's something that referees do talk about a lot. So that's one of the tools that a referee has. Then another would be materiality. This is a little different. This is when the referee decides that whatever happens doesn't matter, so he or she ignores it. Ideally, the ref's going to have a word with the team or the captain at a stoppage, but that may or may not happen for a number of reasons. And using this idea of materiality where, yes, you infringed, like that last clip we saw, those players did not retreat, they were offside, but the referee in that instance decided that that didn't matter. It didn't really affect play. The ball carrier was still able to punch up close to the breakdown. So the referee just ignored that and played on. This promotes game flow. It lets the referee take a step out of the game so that you, as the players, can determine outcomes. You can play the game of rugby. There's not a lot of stopping for the referee to be inserted. Both of these concepts are really tricky to use in practice. We like to talk about them, and there are some guidelines for them. But just so that you as players know, Referees are trying to apply these principles to service your game, but sometimes it's a little tricky. So one thing that makes me sad, for example, is seeing a referee who's really good at materiality and game flow, and this referee's calling a game that enhances the work by the players. And then there are spectators maybe who don't understand that the referee is applying these principles, and they're getting upset on the sideline. And that's not really useful, first of all, to get angry on the sideline and yell at the referee. Not super useful. It does not help people think. But also, it might not be helping the game itself. The game might be benefiting from the choices the referee is making. And for you as players, my advice to you is that you concentrate on your game of rugby, concentrate on being where you need to be, because I've seen this happen quite a few times. Players stop playing, they're commenting on what they think they see, and then the other team is able to capitalize on that. And as players, your main job is to take care of your game. And hopefully your referee is going to be able to do a good job with these two concepts to enhance your game. And I'm going to show you some clips now that demonstrate where some referees made some calls you might not agree with, but they actually enhanced the games that they were in. So before I go to the next slide, you can search for this link if you go for the podcast, Advantage Rugby Referees. Richard Every, who manages rugby for the USAR, USA Rugby, had an interview online of Karis Thomas, who is the referee who started this practice of materiality. And he explains where it comes from and talks a little bit about it and why it's so useful for the game. So now that we have this idea of materiality, I'm going to show you 4 clips and show you the choices that players made. And I'm not suggesting that you play just like this, but so here's the same one we had before. And whoops. You should know that this is Women's Premier League. So these referees are playing to a higher level, and the referees that you get on a weekend, they might be a lot more demanding than this. So here's this one again. See again? All those players are offside. And someone could be like, oh, look, oops, sorry, they're all offside. Yeah, they are. Look at that. Meanwhile, the ball carrier punched right up by the breakdown. Last time. Yes, they were all offside. That's not a call that should have been made. That he played it exactly right. Now here's another one. Somebody might think that this one should be penalized, and maybe. But you'll see what happens. In terms of this game and this flow, these are the same teams, actually. Same game, different point in that game. Offside. Maybe this is starting to impinge. Those girls were offsides all day, and the ball carrier went up that side. So now the ref's probably thinking, wait a minute. Oops, it ended soon. So what you couldn't see at the very end, the blue team takes the ball out the other way. So I, as a ref, would be thinking, I don't know if I like their discipline there, offside. They bring the ball carrier down, but blue still has possession. Then they go out the other direction. So that's a really great instance of where those players are offside, but were not penalized. They're subject to penalty, but they were not penalized. And I think it's important that in youth rugby especially, you make sure you know where you're supposed to be. And we're watching this, and in this WPL game, this referee did not penalize this. That does not mean that your referee in your game won't do that. In this instance, there might have been some referee reasons why he should have penalized, but he was totally within the parameters not to do that. Are we good? No questions? Okay.
Not right now. No, we can keep going.
Great. I'm going to keep going. And here's another one. We talked about advantage, and so here you'll see, this one's interesting because there's a lot going on actually. So Now you're going to see how he puts his arm out for advantage. And then in a second, he's going to play advantage, but he doesn't really put his arm fully out. This is a national panel referee refereeing Women's Premier League Rugby. So he was not perfect in his signaling of advantage. So I want you to keep that in mind when someone comes out to you on a Saturday and maybe doesn't get it just right. Oh, they were offside. He's playing advantage. Penalty advantage. Oh, he kind of put his arm out a little, sort of, and then he's not going to like this next breakdown. She was wrong. She dove right over. She did not release that ball carrier. But now he's going to go back. He's going back to offside. Not the one where he first put his arm out, but there's another one where you saw him thinking about it. Did not signal clearly, but it's okay. Didn't like it. Oh. And then
we are currently improving an issue with your audio connection. Please stand by.
Did you hear that, Pat? So I just got a message that we're improving my audio connection. Can you hear me? I'm going to wait for a second. Let me see if I can find you. I'm going to pause because I got a message that said my audio connection was stopped. Do I have you back again? Okay.
Yeah, it actually wouldn't let me talk there for a couple of moments. I think you're good. I think everybody can
I think so. When I heard that, I thought I'll just pause. Cool.
Great. Oh, wait. Attendees are still on hold.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for that interruption. We're going to continue now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So here's another clip. There we go. Trying to make sure I know where. Oh yeah, here we go. So I'll go back to this one again because I know we kind of got the flow interrupted a little bit. No worries. This is really nice structure. Here he goes. So she goes off her feet a little bit there at the end. He's thinking of other things. And then there's a knock on. So I'm going to play it again. And I want you to watch. In this one of the red players, number 3, I think, red, goes off her feet. And so when I was saying before about you got to keep your feet when you're in the ruck, you really do. But watch how this one player, she's bound on, she got pushed ahead. This one player is going to go off her feet, but because green isn't contesting, the defense isn't driving back or anything. Oh, there she goes. She's off her feet. But no one's contesting, so the referee is not going to stop the game for that. If you're a defender and you would like that call, you think the ref should be calling, oh, they're over there, they're bridging over the ball, then you have to make sure that you're showing the referee that you want that ball. Now, green has not been contesting, so even though this girl right now is kind of going off her feet, trying to reload, can't, he's not going to call that. Green wasn't really contesting at the ruck, so he's not going to play that. Do it one more time. See how these players are so orderly. They're going where they need to be. They are playing rugby. Tacklers are getting out of the way. And the referee's letting them compete for the ball. They were super quick, but the ball is out. This is great. So the referee's looking for a lot of different things at that point when someone kicks ahead. So see, oh, there she is. She was a little off her feet, but they hadn't really been contesting, so he didn't make an issue of that. Beautiful. Great. Oh, I think I have to go back. Oh no, that was it. So just want to say a couple words about your referee to help you out with this idea, is that your referee is trying to give you a fair game, and you're not going to have a national panel referee. All of these clips that I just showed you, these are all referees who were participating in these online calls because they needed to get better. They made some mistakes. They were learning from them. We had a lot of discussion about it. It's a lot easier to watch video and talk about your game after the fact than it is to referee the game as it's going on. Same as you as players, I imagine. Yes, you know what you're supposed to do, and remembering in the heat of the moment, remembering not to put your hands in when you see the ball, you just want the ball. So same with referees. They want to be able to give you a great game. There's so many things going on, but they're trying to do their best. Best referees make errors. We had some really funny ones that were really big mistakes with some really high level referees because rugby is like that. There's a lot going on and you just never know what's going to happen. You have to always be thinking about it. So for your job as players, the idea is, I'll go back to them, is make sure, I'll go back to that slide. Defenders, here's your job here. These are the things that you need to make sure you're doing, right? As long as you know what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, you can't go wrong. Attackers, here's what you're supposed to be doing. You're trying to get the ball, you want to score. The way that we're adjudicating does tend to favor attacking teams at this time. The team with the ball, the players moving forward with the ball. So that's that's how it is. So I told you about advantage. I told you about materiality. I hope you check out that interview. And that's all I had to say. If you have questions, I'm happy to hear them. This is my contact email. I'm happy to hear your questions. If you have game video, we would love to see it. Last year after this presentation, we had 3 different coaches email video and stills with some questions that we were able to answer. I would love to have your questions. I'd love to have your game video. And if there is video that any of you think is useful for all of us to see, I would be happy to do this again and look at some clips that you have so we can talk about what choices a referee can make, what choices a team can make, what do players need to know. And certainly if you have any other questions about it, please let me know. And I ask this all the time, please fill out referee evaluations because good referees deserve it. And the referee that you think, wow, I really wish they did this differently, it would be great if there's something that they had to learn, if I could then be in touch with them before you see them again. All of our referees have such a commitment to being better, making their games better. So any support you can give us there is so welcome. We're all volunteers. Referees get paid for games, but all of us who support them, like I'm volunteering to be the referee development officer. So, a lot of us, like me, we have a lot of coaches, people who donate their time, contribute the time to make our referees better because we want your game to be better. And the cleaner you play the game, the better your choices are, the better the referee is going to give you a nice, clean, enjoyable game. And that's all I have to say. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Right, so if anybody has questions, you can ask them now in the question panel. Roz, I'm just going to go over, I have 6 quick slides that I'm going to go over that are just about how Rugby New Jersey, we're going to try and help our coaches communicate with referees this year. And these documents I'm going to show right now are going to be distributed to all the coaches in the next couple of days. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to provide a cheat sheet that has 2 sides. The first side is the World Rugby U19 law variations, and the second side is the USA Rugby game management guidelines. And basically we're going to highlight just the law variations for high school rugby so that everybody's on the same page, and we're going to encourage our coaches to meet with each other and the referee before games and to clarify anything that they're worried about. At the very highest level in international rugby, the coaches have an opportunity to talk to the referees during the week before games. And this is kind of our dumbed down version of that to give everybody an opportunity to have a chat before the game and get on the same page. We really hope this will be an opportunity to start a dialogue so that some of the poor communication that we've had, and perhaps poor communication we have after games, can be preempted and we can all get on the same page beforehand. The second thing we're going to do is we have a new disciplinary process and timeline. We're going to be much more precise about our timeline after games when cards are issued, particularly when red cards are issued. Again, we discussed this in the AGM, and this will be distributed to all the coaches in the next couple of days. These are our revised standards based entirely on the length of our seasons, because we can't really use the World Rugby Standard. There is still one question about whether we can apply this as Rugby New Jersey, and I'm going to resolve that in the next couple of days. You can see we basically have tried to cover all of the bases there. So if anybody has any questions about that, you can communicate those to me via email. But if you have any questions for Roz right now, you can ask them in the questions panel or in the chat panel for that matter.
Or email me later.
Indeed, actually, I'll go back. Do you still have your email address up, Roz? I'll go back to
do I have it? Okay. Yes, I do. Are you back to me?
Yeah, I'll go back to you.
Okay. Oh, I see it. Yes. I know it's hard when I'm on these things. It's always hard for me to formulate my questions. I always think of my questions after.
So Chris Cowan has a question for you. What guidance can you give a player regards the use of his feet on the ball in the ruck to bring the ball out?
So, well, if you think they're putting hands in, you could always say feet only. If you're trying to remind, if I understand the question,
I think Chris would prefer you to view it as a player rather than a referee. So what should a player do to use when using his feet to take the ball out of the ruck?
So any player bound in and the ball, say the ball's under your body, you're a player, you can take your foot and sort of kick the ball back, almost like a hooker would do. Now, a scrum half cannot kick the ball forward. You can't kick the ball forward out of the ruck because that just sort of makes a big mess. But you can take your foot and try to hook it back to your side.
Excellent, thank you.
Right? Okay. Because, sometimes it gets stuck in there and your scrum half is digging for it and they can't get to it. And some people want to put their hands down and push it back. And you see that in international play sometimes. But if your referee doesn't like that, then you're going to be penalized. Just take your foot and scooch it back to your scrum half.
Excellent. Okay, well, I think we're good, Roz. This webinar. If you're happy, I'll wrap up now.
I think it's great. As long as it's helping people out, and like I said, I'm happy to hear from anybody, and happy to work on specific game video. If you have your clips and you have questions, by all means, email me and I will get back to you.
Excellent. So I'd like to first thank Roz for her work as referee development officer with the Rugby Referee Society of New York. It's in all our best interest to have the best possible referees in the middle, because the better the referees are, we know the better the rugby will be. So Rugby New Jersey is committed to ensuring the development of referees and the development of the relationship between coaches and referees to basically make sure that our athletes have the best experience possible. So thank you so much, Roz, for your time and for making such a big effort to clarify the breakdown and positive actions at the breakdown. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And look out for an email in the next few days with the video of this presentation that you can show to your teammates or your fellow coaches, and the disciplinary procedures and our cheat sheets that will go out. They're all going to go out in draft form, and I do encourage feedback because we have a solid 6 weeks before the start of the season. And this is not a dictatorial kind of move. I really wanted to be to consult with the coaches and make sure we have the best product at the end of the day. So thanks very much, everybody, and talk to you all soon. Take care.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me. Bye, guys.